Hi all, and welcome to the second webinar in our webinar series. Our first one was on business process automation using SharePoint. It was a huge success, so we decided to continue the series. We are going to have a webinar every 2 weeks, and we're going to pick interesting topics like the one we have today, which is SharePoint Online versus SharePoint 2019. Let me just start off and introduce the two speakers. My name is Sherry Rajani. I am the owner and one of the founders of Code Creators. My background is technology related, specifically marketing and sales. And with me today, I have Noor Sarani, who is one of the other founders of Code Creators with about 30 years of development in industry experience. Noor has been involved in numerous SharePoint projects over the years. A little bit about our organization. We started roughly 15 years ago. Since then, we have expanded to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Canada, and the US. All in all, we have around 250 developers, and we're still growing fairly fast. Our competencies include web development, mobile development, data warehousing. We also do a lot of work in the Microsoft SharePoint and Office 365 space. So we've done projects from SharePoint migrations to SharePoint branding, you name it, and there's a chance we've probably done it. Just a little bit about what we'll cover today. So this is kind of our agenda. Our webinars tend to be about 30 minutes. We're also going to have some polls as the webinar goes on. So just a little bit about the topic today and our reason for going ahead with it. We often get questions from a lot of our clients. Should we go SharePoint Online? Should we go SharePoint on premises? There's never one kind of solid answer. It really depends on the company's infrastructure. So I felt like a webinar today kind of addressing the benefits and negatives of both would be helpful for everybody. I'm going to pass it over to our panelist, Noor, who's going to take you through the technical details of SharePoint 2019 and SharePoint Online.
Hello all. So what we're going to do is, in this specific series, that we are going to discuss quite a few things. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start with a poll. So Bilal, can you run the first question so we can have an idea what exactly the users are using? Also, let me know how the answers are coming in, Bilal. So hopefully we have got enough answers for that specific poll. So Bilal, we're going to share this thing after the webinar?
Yeah, sure. There is an error in my side, at my side. Can you please?
All right, sure. So what we're going to do is that the topic of today's webinar is who will win the battle, that is SharePoint Online or SharePoint 2019. So when we say SharePoint 2019, we are talking
Noor,
about
75% of people are using SharePoint Online.
Oh,
and
perfect.
25% on-prem.
So the audience today, we have like 75% are using on-prem, right, Sharia?
No, 75% online.
Oh, perfect. So 75% are using online and 25% are using SharePoint 2019, that is on-prem. So what we're going to do is that this is a very common question which comes from our different customers, that which version to use, why people are still using on-prem. So we are going to discuss this thing in this specific webinar. So earlier, before SharePoint, or if you're not using
Noor, can
SharePoint,
you hold one sec? I think it's still defaulting to the poll.
Sure.
Apologies, I've passed it back to you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So before SharePoint, or if you don't have SharePoint with you, so how information is shared in the offices and enterprises these days? So one of the first thing through which we actually share information are shared drives. So I've seen P drives, T drives, S drives. So people have lots of drives, and what they do is they actually save the documents on those specific shared drives. So normally, whenever we talk about shared drive, because since the beginning, while working with computers, so I have seen that lots of people actually stores documents on these drives, and these drives are not actually managed by any administrator like that. So if I have a drive like P drive, which is in on my shared folder, so I store all of my data over there, and nobody is managing it. Same at the same time, whenever we save any documents or folder in shared drives, there is no version control available with the default file systems. So if I'm using a Windows server or Linux, so there is no real way to like version control things. At the same time, when I have that kind of drive available with me, so anyone can store as many copies of the document. So I have seen like costing final and costing latest and things like that. So primarily, people used to save documents, and whenever even the file name contains final, but it is not final anyway. Number two area where actually information is being shared are emails. So if you want to share information, you can send an email and copy like 30 people for that email. And out of those 30 people, one of the person actually downloads the attachment and change something on the attachment and resend to the 30 people. So you have quite a few versions of the same document available, and you like the companies cannot actually track the actual version of the document, latest document. Third way of actually sharing the information is like you do through IM. So I have used Sky for Business and other things like that. So there are quite a few other things which you can use as an IM to share the information. Then we have USB drives or pen drives, which actually is being used to share information. At the same time, like I've seen HDDs, like for example, like USB based HDDs, you can use for sharing information. Then we also have internal email, which quite a few people use. So these are all the ways you share information before SharePoint, or if you don't have SharePoint. So now we are going to discuss why we use SharePoint. So for SharePoint, as per Microsoft study, 78% of the Fortune 500 companies use Microsoft SharePoint in one way or the other. So why these companies actually use SharePoint? There are quite a few things. Number one is storing documents in folders. So why they store documents in folder? Number one point for using SharePoint as a storing document folder, it is a contextual thing. So if I'm logging in as Node, I can only see the document which is available to me. If I go to any specific department, like I'm going to accounting or finance department, it will only show that contextual information in that specific department. Number two thing is version control. So if I have created a document and I keep on changing that document, SharePoint actually makes all the versions of the documents which I have, and the latest version is also available. Then normally, because this is a central repository and people are actually using this specific like Microsoft SharePoint for storing documents, so I always have the newest version of the document. So for example, if there is an HR policy, whenever I access that HR policy, it is current because the HR guys are keep on updating those documents. Then as SharePoint Online or SharePoint On-Prem actually provide you a place where you can store all the documents centralized in the centralized form. You can do that. Then corporate internet, that is the second thing why actually people use SharePoint. So there is an information available for all members. So things like birthdays, any work anniversaries, information related to your companies, all of the things are available in the SharePoint. Then it also helps with you with the compliance, so you can save the documents, document tag, document changes, document approval, all the things are actually stored on the SharePoint only. And finally, we have enterprise workflows. So there are quite a few types of workflows which are available in SharePoint. Number one is approval workflow, status workflow, notification workflow, automation workflow, and custom workflow. So these are different kind of workflow which you can create using SharePoint. So why actually people use what actually offered by SharePoint on-prem? And when you say SharePoint on-prem, that means that you have a server-based system. So SharePoint is installed on your own server, which is either located in your data center or your own server room, and you install SharePoint on that specific system only. Number two thing is like for installing SharePoint and maintaining SharePoint with a specific mid-size organization, you need IT teams with you. So people like normal users cannot actually configure SharePoint server and maintain them for optimized results. So you have to have the IT teams with you. And whenever I talk to any person and I ask why you are not moving to SharePoint Online, the first and foremost major reason for not moving to online is the data security. And we are going to like question this thing also. So people say that we don't want to share our data on cloud or we don't want to share our data on online. So we are going to talk about security, whether your organization data saved is secure or not. Then what SharePoint Online is? SharePoint Online is a cloud-based system and not a server-based system. In server-based system, what you need to do is you have to install your server yourself, and you have to maintain that, and you can use that. But in cloud-based system, it is deployed on cloud, and you can use. Organizations with like little or no IT teams can use SharePoint Online. They just have to buy the SharePoint Online license, and they can use right out of the box that thing. At the same time, the organization which they want to use the cutting edge technology all the time. So because SharePoint Online is updated all the times, so you can use cutting edge technology. So what we have learned till now that what actually SharePoint is, what is SharePoint on-prem, and what is SharePoint Online. Now we're going to discuss that why anyone wants to upgrade. So you can also use SharePoint 2010, SharePoint 2013 or 2016. So quite a few customers of ours actually using older version, and they are also getting advantage of SharePoint different feature which is available for that specific version. But for why upgrade is necessary is because that all the time security related issues and other issues are coming over, and you need to patch older version, and Microsoft actually provide end of life for different kind of versions of SharePoint. So for avoiding compliance issues and malware attacks and things like that, you need to upgrade your latest version. At the same time, user experience is one thing because with every new version, Microsoft is trying to upgrade their user experience too. So when we talk about SharePoint Online and SharePoint On-Prem, what Microsoft SharePoint Online have to offer over 2019? Number one, first and foremost, I don't know you guys know or not, that it provides you unlimited OneDrive storage. When we say unlimited OneDrive storage, that means unlimited, like you can use as much data as you want for your storage. So this feature is not available with SharePoint on-prem. You can only do with SharePoint online. Then because SharePoint Online has a cutting edge self-service recovery, so if your data is like deleted or if your site is corrupt, you have the self-service recovery available with SharePoint Online, and this is only available with SharePoint Online and not with SharePoint On-Prem. Then there are native apps. We are going to talk about these power tools also, that were when to use what, and these native apps are quite tightly integrated with SharePoint Online, and this is only available with SharePoint Online. Then you have native mobile apps, so you can install mobile apps on your system. So if you have created a Power App using SharePoint Online, you can install a native mobile app of Power App, and that Power App can use the power of SharePoint using Power App forms. Then you can create modern sites. When we say a modern site, it's like responsive and can work on different devices and things like that. Then we have a built-in compliance feature. So Microsoft SharePoint Online is actually compliant with quite a few agencies world around, and the storage thing and the retrieval thing and security features all are compliant internationally. That SharePoint Online also provide native integration with Microsoft Teams. We are going to we are planning to do a webinar on Microsoft Teams, and we are going to show you how actually you can integrate Microsoft Teams with SharePoint Online. Then you have model lists available, and you can do drag drop document, drag drop folders. You can also drag drop columns. Like in older version, you don't have the drag drop feature available like that. Then there is an option of photo extraction. So whenever you upload, so through AI, Microsoft SharePoint Online provide you photo extraction option, and then you also have video streaming option available using Microsoft SharePoint Online. So these are all features which are not available in 2019 on-prem, but SharePoint Online only. So what features are like classic in SharePoint on-prem? Number one thing is you have a server-based installation, so you can deploy that thing on your own server, and it is on your own premises. Then you have categorized OneDrive support. What you can do is you can sync with OneDrive, your drives with OneDrive, and you can use those data also over there. Then development, if we talk about development, so Microsoft SharePoint development framework actually provide the facility. You can create like develop same code for SharePoint on-prem, and you can use it in online also. So this is another thing which you can use with SharePoint on-prem. Again, you in on-prem you have improved responsive mobile apps. You can use SharePoint site on your mobile apps also. There are two things which is like quite important for the users who are primarily using SharePoint for storing files and folders. Number one thing is that earlier Microsoft SharePoint cannot store special character. So there is no block character. You can use as many and whatever special characters you want using SharePoint on-prem. And now you have longer file name support also, and you can upload files up to 15 GB file size. So these are all things which are newer to SharePoint on-prem. As discussed, that SharePoint development framework is now provided, which actually provides you the same. You can use same code for on-prem and on-cloud. Again, when you are developing applications for SharePoint, there is a huge community available, and there are quite a few things are available which you can use, reuse the code and things like that. Then you can use JavaScript framework. So most of our latest development which we are doing with SharePoint, we are using client-side JavaScript frameworks, so which includes React, Angular, Knockout, these kind of things. Earlier we only used .NET and SharePoint designers to develop applications, but now with SharePoint Online development framework, you can use JavaScript frameworks too. Then you have open source development tools you can use like Node.js and PL TypeScript for developing application related to SharePoint. So before going to Power Tools, Bilal, can you run the second poll, which actually shows us that our attendees would, when they wanted to implement that specific SharePoint Online or on So Bilal, can you share the results, or we are going to share the result at the end?
And the results being shared right now.
Oh, perfect.
We have a 33% that said within 3 months, 53% unplanned, and 7% within a year, and 7% within 6 months.
Oh, perfect. So quite a few people actually who wanted to planning to implement these tools within 3 months. So going to the power tools. Power tools is one thing which is quite popular these days, and Microsoft has worked very hard, and Microsoft is still actually upgrading all these power tools. So there are actually four power tools available with Microsoft SharePoint Online. Number one is Microsoft Forms. So Microsoft Forms is a very powerful tool to create forms. So earlier, whatever we do for form designing, all of those things are being replaced by Microsoft Form. You can create my complex form which have dependable fields and drop-down boxes. You can do that in using Microsoft Form. Number two thing is Microsoft Flow. So Microsoft Flow is quite impressive thing, and earlier we are using SharePoint Designer to create workflows, that there is a complex development and other things are required. But by Microsoft Flow, you can create workflows on the fly. So you can create notification workflow, approval workflow, just by dragging and dropping and using the templates which are available with Microsoft Flow. Then you have Power Apps. So Power Apps are the apps which you create using Microsoft Power Apps, and these Power Apps are actually executable using your mobile devices. So you just create a Power App. So for example, if you create an expense approval flow, which actually like interface with Power Apps, so user can send their expense related details using their Power Apps. So it is mobile friendly. You can create native apps using Power Apps. So you don't have to know Java or iPhone related, iOS related app languages, but you can develop applications, mobile applications using Power Apps. And finally, you have Power BI. You can also integrate Power BI using SharePoint Online. So these tools are only available with Microsoft SharePoint Online. There is also a setup available which is said to be hybrid setup, in which you can use SharePoint on-prem version and SharePoint Online version side by side. So why anyone wants to stay on-prem? These are the actual reasons why anyone stays in on-prem. Number one reason is that if you have a slow internet bandwidth. So there are quite a few countries where internet bandwidth is too slow. If you go cloud, it will actually hinder the performance. And number two thing is, if you have applications which are legacy application, like for example, if you are integrated with your accounting system, which is installed on your on-prem and that is not available with Office Online. So if you want to integrate some workflows with your own applications, so that is another reason for being staying on-prem. Number three reason, so quite a few people, I have seen people saying that our data is more secure in our environment. And that is really a question. Like these days, with these kind of vulnerabilities in the security system, are your networks are safe enough to store your data, or cloud is more safer than your own network? So these are three things. Slow internet bandwidth, that is one reason for staying on-prem. Number two is if you have any legacy system through which you have integrated your SharePoint. So that is another reason. And third number is quite a few people say is us that they want to be on-prem due to security. Why go online? Number one thing is always updated. So there are no like security breaches and things like that. They have patches and gaps filled all the time. Number two, that is update up to date all the time. So for example, if you're using Power Apps, so you'll be using the latest version of Power Apps only. So it is getting updated all the time. Then managed services. So for on-prem, you have to have an IT department with you, which will actually maintain your SharePoint database. and which will maintain your SharePoint server for optimized performance. But in SharePoint Online, you don't need a single person related to IT, and because it is a managed service. And finally, reason to going online is the infrastructure cost. So you don't have to spend any infrastructure cost if you go online. You can just buy the license and start using it. So, in our opinion, based on our experience, so we normally prefer SharePoint Online because it is safe, it is easy, you don't have any overhead costs, and it is upgraded, updated all the time. So these are the things which why we think that SharePoint Online. And one of the things which I really love about SharePoint Online is Power Tools. So you can use Power Apps, Power BI, Microsoft Forms while you're using SharePoint Online. That is our take. So we wanted to know, Bilal, if you can run the third poll. How many of you still think that SharePoint on-prem is better for them, and how many of you think actually is SharePoint Online better for them? Showing how the results are coming in.
It's about a 75-25% split, 75 SharePoint Online.
Wow, perfect, perfect. So Sherry, if you would like to conclude the session with your final comments.
For sure. Guys, honestly, just thank you all for attending. We hope to have out for all of our webinars. As I mentioned earlier, we're also a SharePoint development company that specializes in migrations. So if you guys ever need any help, just email us at sales@codecreators.ca, and our team will send a follow-up as well. And stay tuned for our next webinar. Noor, thank you for your help, and have a great day/night, everyone. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.